time since I was in middle school. Knicks are going back to the Eastern Conference Finals in consecutive seasons. And, I'm at game 2 of the Philly series. And I'm making rounds. I'm seeing a bunch of people. And I see our guy Bondy. Stefan Bondy comes up to me. He's like, yo, bro, what's happening? How's the season going? Exchanging pleasantries. And he put me on the spot. And I'm proud of him for doing so. He goes, when you have me back on, I go, you know what? You're the busy man. We're going to work this out. And thankfully, the Knicks have a week off. Stefan Bondy, welcome back to New York, New York. How you doing?
Nah, I appreciate you. I'm doing well, and I appreciate you putting me back on. You were a popular guy at the Garden, man, so it was hard to get a second with you. So
I don't know about that, man. Listen,
you're big time. You're big time.
I think it's because I had the suit on, so I was looking a little fancy, getting ready to do
were
TV
looking
after
good.
the game.
You were looking good.
Man. Listen,
Yeah.
not quite Clyde level, but
No, that's impossible. That's impossible.
Exactly. Impossible standard. Speaking of impossible standards, can you believe what this team is doing? Like, just perspective. You're around the team every day. You're down in Atlanta. They're getting ready for game 4. And, Stefan, we're taking the questions on the show. Hey, what happened in the fourth quarter of game 2? Why didn't they get a shot off at the end of game 3? Is this team going to wilt with the pressure of being down in a first-round series? And from that point in time, they basically have morphed into this insane record-setting NBA basketball team. How did this happen?
Yeah, I mean, I am surprised, and it happened because of a few adjustments. If we just look at that Hawks series, obviously the one that's carried over is they're using Cat at the elbow, and they're running the offense through him a lot more. That was the big adjustment, and my understanding was it was just something that they talked about before that game, and Mike Brown was like, all right, let's try it. It wasn't like, this was something we had planned beforehand. It wasn't some like, we practiced this a lot, so let's go to this. It was, let's just try it. And it worked. The other thing that happened in that series was they started putting Josh Hart on CJ McCollum, and that changed the defensive dynamics in terms of, I'm talking about the Knicks defensive dynamics of that series. And ever since then, man, you're right. They've just been a juggernaut. Now, listen. I predicted the Sixers were going to roll over. I predicted the Knicks were going to win.
You told me that game 2. Yeah. You said this series is a wrap, JJ. You called it. You said it's a wrap.
Well, even before the playoffs even started, the Post said, "Hey, can you put out a list of who the Knicks should prefer as their first round playoff opponent?" And I had the Sixers at number 1, just because I didn't trust Joel Embiid, I didn't trust Paul George. And those are 2 very important players. And I knew that, physically they were going to wear down. Now, they beat the Celtics, so maybe I looked a little stupid, but I thought that the Knicks were just going to roll over the Sixers. So that did happen. So part of it was the opponent. The other part is the Knicks have just morphed into this offensive juggernaut, and they have this weapon now using Cat at the elbow that is catching teams off guard. Because, whoever the next opponent is, the Cavs or the Pistons, they're going to be able to scout it. But there wasn't much tape on this stuff, you know what I mean, that the Sixers could go through, especially after they went through that grinding series against the Celtics, and there wasn't much tape that the Hawks could look at. And so, the element of surprise worked out in favor of the Knicks, and, they've been clicking on all cylinders.
Let's be honest on this. Mike Brown, coming into his first year, was going to be judged on what happened in the postseason. Like, they could have won, Steph, 65 games. They could have won 48 games. The bottom line was, for this team, after where they were a year ago, it's like, well, what are you going to do differently come playoff time? And for them to get hit with adversity right in the face from Jump Street, and for him to make that adjustment like you're alluding to with Karl Anthony Towns in the high post and just transforming the team offensively, Mike Brown deserves an enormous amount of credit for not only that adjustment, but just the level of play. Hey, didn't have guys panicked. Everybody stayed calm, and they responded. Like, that to me, a lot of that falls on the head coach, does it not?
100%. And he came in with this idea of, we are going to hire a coach that's collaborative with everybody. So they wanted the anti-Tibbs. So Dolan wanted the anti-Tibbs, meaning I want you to lean on the coaching staff more. I want you to lean on the medical staff more. I want you to take the players, suggestions and really take that to heart and maybe do that. Because under Tibbs, it was a one voice situation. And listen, that worked well for Tibbs. He is who he is. He got them this far. But the idea with Mike Brown was he's going to be the collaborative coach. And he's really taking that to heart. He listens, he takes suggestions from everybody. Everything is let's vote on it. You know what I mean? When they're having, when they're deciding who to play and who not to play and who to add to the rotation, who not to add to the rotation, it becomes a vote amongst the coaching staff. So he really is a collaborative coach. And we just talked about that adjustment with Cat playing at the elbow and the high post. That was something that was brought to him, and he said, "Yeah, let's do it." So, he deserves a lot of credit for being who he said he was going to be, and he said from the very beginning, "I'm going to collaborate with the front office. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that," and he has done that.
Last time you came on the show, we talked about some of the criticisms of Karl Anthony Towns, and we both agreed it was unfair. It was a lot to ask of Karl Anthony Towns, an All-NBA player, like this burden that was being put on him. And the Knicks fans really giving him the business in December and into January. And I don't know if you read it this way, Stefan. The Giannis rumors come and go. And there's all this talk, hey, is Giannis going to get traded? Is Karl Anthony Towns going to be the centerpiece of a potential Giannis trade? And I know he didn't get his shot all the way back this year. He didn't shoot the ball quite as well as he did a year ago from beyond three-point range. But there was a different level of physicality I noticed from Cat. The double-doubles were through the roof. He's not a great defender, but the intensity and the effort that he was giving you defensively, super fun to watch, feeding off that Madison Square Garden crowd. And I know this is a guy who's been in the conference finals each of the last 2 years. Last year with the Knicks, had a big game 3 against the Pacers. A lot of people forget about that.
Yeah.
Down 2-0, he was unbelievable in Indiana. Played great in the Detroit series. And then 2 years ago, won a game 7 against Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. But is it fair to say that Karl Anthony Towns more at ease and able to relax because those rumors kind of went by the wayside? And 2, is this the best brand of basketball you've seen him play as a Knick?
To your second question, yes, because the defensive aspect of it, he has picked up like you said, the intensity, everything. He has actually become a competent, more than competent sometimes, defender in the pick and roll. That's not something you could have said about him in the playoffs last year. He's become a much better defender. To your first, sorry, what was your first question?
What about Giannis stuff?
Oh,
like the
Giannis,
idea,
absolutely.
like was that weighing? You're in the locker room all the time,
Yeah.
and you're at practice all the time. Could you get the sense that was starting to weigh on Cat?
Yeah. And it wasn't just that. So at the beginning of the season, think about it. He was up for an extension. He didn't get an extension. He wanted to have a different role in the offense. He didn't get that. It was a very frustrating start of the season for Karl Anthony Towns. He was validated. He felt validated. He felt better about himself by making the All-Star team. And he also felt not validated. He also felt at ease, like you just mentioned, about not being traded because those rumors were hot and heavy, and I'm sure he felt they were real, and there were some real elements to them. So I think that all contributes to everything. Now, let me ask you a question. Let me flip a question to you.
I love when I'm asked questions. Yes,
Yeah.
please. Yes.
Let's say the Knicks get to the NBA Finals. Let's say Karl Anthony Towns continues to play like this. He's up for an extension next in the offseason. We're talking about Matt. We're talking max.
He's making crazy money now. It's super crazy money.
It's like $300 something million you'd have to get. What do you think?
How did Knicks play in that series?
In the Thunder? Let's say they play the Thunder.
Like if they play the Thunder and it's balls to the wall and it's like super intense and competitive and it's Steph, it's kind of similar to what we saw in the Indiana series against OKC last year, where you're like, wow, this team belongs. This is not some fluke that they got to the NBA Finals or they took advantage of a weak Eastern Conference. I'm not privy to conversations that Leon Rose and Worldwide West are having. I'm not in the locker room like you where you get in this sense and you have your sources. My sense would be if he's playing like this and it's a great series in the NBA Finals, even if they fall short, I think the Knicks are going to look to keep the team together. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that either right now, but it's a good question to ask because he's going to want an extension, very deservedly so. And, you're talking about a player in his 30s now, and are you going to give him $300 million to keep this team together? Or are you going to, wait another year and then see where you're at there and kind of risk making him unhappy? This is obviously a premature question. The Knicks are in the conference finals, so I understand why you don't want to have
I
this
think we outrose
conversation.
Mike Brown and company. Are like, hey, let's get to
Yeah,
the
let's see
Thunder.
what
Let's play
happens. I
that series, and
understand,
we'll cross
but
that
this
bridge
is
when we
down
get
the
to it.
pike. So since we're talking about Cat, I thought I'd bring it up.
I think it's totally fair game. OG Anunoby, my favorite player on this team, Steph. I love
Hmm.
him. I
Hmm.
love his defense. I love when he's aggressive offensively, like we've seen in this postseason. And now there's the looming question of the injury. The extra time should
Hmm.
absolutely positively help. Is it unfair to expect Anunoby to come back game one of the conference finals and just basically snap right back into it? Is he going to be 80% of what he was? This is not going to be a repeat of 2 years ago with the Pacers, right? Where it's not going to be the extent where he's playing on one leg. He will be able to help this team.
Yeah, physically he should be able to help this team. I was on the understanding that he could have, like, if they needed him, he could have played Game 4 against the Sixers.
But they were up 3-0. Why are we
They
going
were
to be
up 3-0.
stupid?
Like,
Yeah.
forget about it. So, the expectation is he will be healthy for Game 1. Now, from a rhythm standpoint, I haven't done the math. How many days off is he going to have before
It's
he
been a
plays the
while.
next game?
I mean,
Yeah,
think about it. So he got hurt when I saw you last, which was game
yeah,
2 of the Sixers series. So
yeah,
that was midweek to it's like 10 days ago. Every
yeah.
bit of it.
Yeah, and he's been on fire from 3-point land, and that's kind of what you worry about is when he comes back. Now he had that toenail problem. I don't know if you remember in the middle of the regular season, he was out a while. When he came back, he was not the same player. It took him a while to catch that rhythm back. So that's not something we can predict. And if you're a Knicks fan, you can only hope that it's not the same situation that when he does come back, he still has that same rhythm as when he left. That's what you're hoping for.
And on that subject, there's been we've done it a ton on TV. Hey, is the rest a good thing
Hmm.
or a bad thing? And my feeling is, Steph, when you earn the rest, you
You
earn
take,
the rest. Like
yeah,
that is what great teams do. Like the '90s Yankees, not to compare this Knicks team to the '90s Yankees, they had a lot of time where they had rest. They figured it out. Shaq and Kobe's Lakers, they got plenty of rest. These great teams, they kind of figure out, hey,
yeah.
we'll be okay after the first game of a series. We'll get right back into it. Is that something that should scare a Knicks fan?
Well, here's a question. Are they a great team or are they just in a great rhythm?
I think they're a very good team. I don't think they're
Okay.
a great team. They might be a great team. Not yet.
Now they
Not
are in a
yet.
great rhythm. So I am worried like maybe that goes away. Now, Jalen Brunson's the ultimate pro. He's going to stay ready. He's going to do whatever it takes, stay in the gym and not slack off. I don't know. I don't know how the other guys are going to treat this long stretch of being off, but you would hope and you would think that you have a veteran coach who's been there, done that. You have the captain who's going to lead the squad. You got veteran players like Josh Hart. He knows what's at stake. Cat knows what's at stake. This is not a young team that is just going to say, all right, let's go party for a week. You know what I mean? So I would assume the focus is there, and I haven't heard anything to suggest otherwise.
That quote from Brunson the other day, I'm
Hmm.
not a star. Like, he's not, I don't want to compare him to Derek Jeter. It's so unfair. Derek Jeter is Mr. New York, all the
Hmm.
championships. But in the way they carry themselves, I see it with Judge. I see it with Jeter. Am I crazy to say that Brunson has that, like, Jeter sort of demeanor about him?
No, you're not. And you know what? He studied Derek Jeter. He studied the way Derek Jeter and Tom Brady interacted with the media and led their teams and took discounts so that their teams could be better. And he's following the blueprint of those guys. So it is not a coincidence that he reminds you of Derek Jeter. He wants to be like Derek Jeter in a lot of ways.
Okay. I've been thinking a lot about this.
Okay.
Watching this Cav Piston series. And full disclosure, Steph, I've bet on the Cavs in every single one of these games just because, hey, I look at lines. And yesterday I thought it was a little too ratty, getting 4.5 with Detroit. Cleveland hadn't won on the road. Talent-wise, though, Cleveland is a more talented team than Detroit.
Yeah.
They are. Like, they just have more ways to beat you. They have more options. But Cade, I'd make the case, best player on the floor. And the physicality that Detroit plays with, we saw it in the regular season, and I know you don't want to get nuts about that. Celtics, Knicks, perfect example. Celtics owned them. We saw the second round series. But that physicality in Cunningham and not having home court, I always felt like, hey, Detroit would be a tougher opponent in a tougher series. Now I'm starting to second guess that a smidge. Watching this Eastern Conference Final, is there somebody the Knicks should be rooting for?
I mean, listen, I've had conversations with people about this. The Pistons offer not just offer a physicality element that would make it very difficult for the Knicks, as you mentioned. The other thing is that when the Pistons see the Knicks on the other side of the court, they see red. It's personal.
They perk up.
Yeah. And the Knicks are obviously more talented. They have more experience and all that. But there is that element to an opponent where you're like, yeah, I don't really want to deal with that. Where I give the Cavs the edge in certain areas is, I think, people disagree with me about this, but I think Kenny Atkinson is better than JB Bickerstaff. I think they obviously have the two guards who can score. Now James Harden is a historical playoff choke artist, but I think that the Cavs are just too soft in the middle. And I
Those
know
bigs got destroyed, Steph,
I
2
know
years
it was
ago.
years ago, but
Yeah.
dude, I'm never gonna forget. I am never gonna forget how Mitchell Robinson just owned those dudes, man. Like, he just obliterated them. He snatched their heart. Jared Allen had that quote, "The lights were too bright." Mitchell Robinson was going like this, like, oh, they got shook. Remember that? Like, that was real. And to me, those guys they're too skinny. They're just not built for playoff intensity basketball. And Cat, we talk about Cat posting up. Cat could actually move those dudes. Like, you talking about Cat in the post. Try to put Jared Allen on him or Evan Mobley on him. I think he can move those dudes. So I think the Knicks have a big advantage if they play the Cavaliers. And if they have their druthers, they would rather play the Cavaliers.
Okay, this probably is a simple question. And I know Wemby is a freak. But San Antonio, hey, Steph, you know the league well.
Mhm.
You never see a team, ever. Like, I can't find the example of a team that hasn't made the playoffs. They've been in the lottery. And they just go and snap their finger and win an NBA championship. Like, there's some sort of innocent climb you got to go through, whether it's losing a round one series, losing a conference final. I know some people are going to say the Celtics, they don't count because you had Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen all in the primes of their careers waiting to go and do something special. Right. This is a young, super raw, but super explosive and talented Spurs team. That's the team you got to be rooting for, right, to beat. You don't. Okay, if you're a Knicks fan, you're rooting like crazy for the Spurs next year.
There's no question. And you're right. It's an incremental thing. We're seeing that with Detroit right now. They're not ready. They won their first round. It takes, and they're a young team, it takes a while, right? It takes years to reach that next level. And to me, the Spurs are not even close to the same level as the Oklahoma City Thunder. On top of that, the Knicks played the Spurs really well in the regular season.
They beat them. For the most part, they beat them pretty good.
They beat them in the NBA Cup final. They beat them at home. And I don't remember what happened in San Antonio, but either way.
They had the game. They choked it away. They had a lead. I think it was New Year's Eve. I think it was a New Year's Eve game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was a really close loss. The Knicks were riding high up until that point. And that loss kind of snowballed, and then they went on their worst stretch of the season, right? That culminated with that home loss in Dallas, and we're like, oh, doom and gloom. But then they turned it around. Their defense picked up, especially, and they became one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. I'm talking about the Knicks. So, we talk about turning points and all that, but the Spurs should absolutely be the preferred opponent in the NBA Finals. And I'd even prefer to play the Spurs than the Timberwolves, to be honest.
Timberwolves,
Yep.
they got a mean streak to them, man.
Yep.
I give that team a lot of credit. They're super well coached. I love Edwards. I love their role players. I don't think they have enough to beat San Antonio, but I think they're finding a way to get that series back for a seventh game for what it's worth. I do. Yeah. I think they're going to win Game 6 at home.
Yeah, listen. We know Julius Randle. He runs hot and cold. So
yes.
I don't want to make that prediction, man.
You know what though? When you got Reed and McDaniels and DeSumo, and then you have Edwards doing his thing, that's like I like that team, man. They're very, very likable. They're tough. Yeah. You don't want to play them. They're a pain in the ass to play, but I like them.
And one of my favorite players ever on the Knicks, just from a personality standpoint, was Dante DiVincenzo. So it was really hard.
Him, man. Oh, they miss him.
It was tough, man. It was tough to see that happen because, you root for a guy like that. You always do.
Final one for you. Mm-hmm. You know the history of the league well. You know the history of this franchise well. So, Steph, obviously I wasn't old enough to see Clyde Frazier and Dave DeBusschere and Willis Reed and all those great teams. But I vividly remember the 90s. I grew up with Patrick, with Oak, with Starks. Then the late 90s teams, the 8th seed, that wasn't a real 8th seed because it was a lockout year, and then they went on that run of the NBA Finals, had no prayer against Tim Duncan and David Robinson. So I've been thinking a lot about this. So I put some thought into this. Knicks go to the NBA Finals this year. I think this is the best Knicks team of my lifetime. I do. Like, I understand you're talking about Ewing at his prowess. Starks ended up being an all-star in 94. Just the well-rounded nature of the team. I don't know if that 90, don't get me wrong. I don't want, it's a different era of basketball. I know you're not getting the offensive numbers, but I really believe that. Am I taking crazy pills or something, or is that a fair statement?
So I'm glad you're bringing this up because I am writing a column. I'm about to write a column, and I don't know where I'm going to land in if Brunson leads the Knicks to the NBA Finals. Where does he rank on all-time Knicks? Where does he move up to? So that's something I'm going to think about later. Here's my problem with your take.
Okay.
The Eastern Conference is so weak this year. Like, think
Fair.
about, they beat the Hawks. Who they got? You know what I mean? Their best player was C.J. McCollum. They beat just the completely rundown Sixers. If they win the next round against the Cavaliers, it's not the same as beating Scottie Pippen's Bulls and
No Michael, though.
no Michael. Who else did they beat the Pacers in '94?
Pacers had about a hair in their chinny chin chin.
Yeah,
7 games.
Reggie Miller's Pacers. I don't remember who they beat in the first round.
I think the first round was the Nets. It was either the Nets or the Hornets. I get the 93 and the 94 years confused sometimes.
Like Larry Brown's Nets or something? I don't even know what Nets.
No, Larry Brown was coaching the Pacers.
Okay.
So Chuck Daly. That was Chuck Daly's Nets. Chuck Daly's Nets.
All right,
yeah.
all right. So I mean, I think the East was stronger back then.
Fair.
But with that said, the Knicks, I mean, the way they're just obliterating teams right now, you can't argue against the dominance and the cohesiveness and the chemistry that they have right now. So it's tough to say, but that would be my one pushback against your theory.
I think it's fair.
Mm-hmm.
But that well-rounded nature, can't ignore that, man.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
And I got one more for you. With the all-time Knicks, if Brunson wins an NBA championship, nobody could surpass Clyde Frazier. Impossible.
Okay.
Impossible. It's a 50-something year title job. Stefan Bondy, if Jalen Brunson wins an NBA title, I'm putting him number 2 on my all-time Knicks list.
Number 2 over Willis Reed.
I love Willis. The drought, man. Dude, like, that's got to weigh on the whole franchise. I don't know. Like, maybe I'm being a prisoner of the moment.
No,
and
so
he's ahead of Patrick if he wins.
Yeah, so where I'm at right now is, like, we did the Mount Rushmore before this season, and Mount Rushmore was Clyde, Willis,
Patrick,
and then Earl Monroe.
I would agree with that. Could make a case to Busher, could make a case. Bernard King, there's not enough meat on the bone. By the way, it bothers me, and I love Carmelo. You know I'm a Syracuse guy. I love Carmelo. They retired Carmelo's number. Come on, Steph. Bernard King's got to be there.
No. They better not retire his number. There's no reason to retire his number at all.
Oh, you're talking about Carmelo?
I'm talking about Carmelo.
Well, that's fine. I'm not even fighting you on that. I'm just saying, if they are so hell-bent on retiring Carmelo's number, despite the fact that the team did very little winning other than one season, Bernard King better be there too. That's my big point.
I agree with you. But I like that they're kind of, they have a high standard for these retired jerseys. Do it for the champions.
You don't want it to be the Yankees where they retire everybody's number.
I like it. And listen, I disagreed a little bit that Dolan didn't want to hang the NBA Cup championship banner. But in retrospect, I'm like, I get it. All right, this is the Madison Square Garden. We're keeping a high standard here. And I understand it's been crap for 20-something years, but we've been holding this place up like it's the Mecca. Let's only hang, people that deserve it. So I feel that. I will say this. If Jalen Brunson gets to the finals, to me, I'm now putting him above Earl Monroe. And I know that sounds crazy. But
no, I don't think so at all.
If he wins, I'm putting him above Patrick Ewing. So
we're in agreement there. So you still go Clyde, Willis, but then Jalen. You know what? Steph, I hope we're living in this world. Let's make this happen. And then you could go write the book, because then I think you got something to sell.
All right. I will. Make some money.
That's the idea. Stefan Bondy is going to be a busy man. He's enjoying a little R&R before the Eastern Conference Finals. Bro, love you. I'll see you at the Garden. Take care, all right?
All right, I'll see you out there.